Packers lost to the Commanders on Sunday. If you didn't see my gut reaction video yesterday, please check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. I've rewatched the game, and this Packers team is making so many mistakes, it's baffling. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. My name is Patrick Corrigan, and I am your host. You can find and follow me on Twitter at Packer Mentality. My podcasts are available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. If you are watching me on YouTube, please help me out and hit the subscribe button below to follow my channel. So if you don't have the time to keep up with all the Packer news, reports, or social media, or you just can't make any sense of them, let me help you make sense of the nonsense. And thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. Playing against a lesser team, the Packers once again played at a level below their competition in a 23-21 loss to Washington. My gut reaction to that game was that this Packers team will not make the playoffs. Let's take a look at what leads me to believe that. Coming into Sunday's game, the Packers had poor offensive performances in their last 3 straight games and in at least 5 of the 7 games they've played this season. I've discussed it, and it definitely has been noticed by pretty much everyone else following this team. Just check the internet, or especially Twitter. They're brutal. This offense has been plagued by poor offensive line play, inability to get the run game going or stick with the run game, mistakes in the passing game, and even unexpectedly poor quarterback play. I said in my preview of this game that the offensive improvement has to start on the offensive line. On Sunday, after 6 weeks of poor offensive line play and pretty much everyone calling for change but not expecting it, the Packers actually made wholesale changes on the offensive line. Despite having David Bakhtiari ruled out with a knee issue, the Packers rolled out a new lineup with 4 linemen at brand new positions. Only Josh Myers, the center, was at his normal position. And shocking no one, this group was significantly better than anything they've done so far this season. They allowed no sacks and only 1 quarterback hit against a very good Commanders defensive line. This is probably one of the best defensive lines the Packers have faced this season, and they did a really nice job. Looking at some of the Pro Football Focus pass blocking grades, Zach Tom with a very high grade, high quality, he did not allow any pressures as a rookie, starting his first game at left tackle. At left guard, Elton Jenkins did not have a great game. Josh Myers at center had a really good game. John Runyon at right guard, moving over from left guard, he had a really nice game. Yash Neisman, who we've been begging to move from left tackle to right tackle, he was at right tackle, and he did a average to above average job in pass blocking. Mostly the reaction to this whole thing that, hey, you made a change and it actually worked. So kudos to the offensive staff to not continue the insanity at offensive line. Now, if you followed my channel since the beginning, and thank you and bless you if you have, but if you haven't, or if you don't remember, I am the son of a college football coach. So I have the benefit of being able to talk to a 30-year veteran college coach and offensive coordinator. So with the Packers in mind, and I know he watches the Packers games, I asked him about the Packers offense and why he thought they were having so many issues. And he said, your offense must have a few plays or do something that you can hang your hat on, and they don't seem to know what that is. He had a few other ideas that I will bring up in later videos, but I thought that pretty much summed up the problem with the Green Bay offense. They don't have that thing that they can hang their hat on, or they just don't hang their hat on it. They have these teams scouted and still don't have answers. Hard to judge the run game and blocking when the Packers only ran the ball 12 times. Not enough touches for Aaron Jones again, even though uh, if you're watching the game, they have that little toss play out of the shotgun to Jones that they ran probably 5 or 6 times, and it was very successful. Why they didn't run it more often until the Commanders learned to stop it, I don't know. How many weeks in a row are we going to continue to say that Jones isn't getting the ball enough? There are only two guys that you can pin this on for Jones not getting the ball, and that is Coach LaFleur, who's calling the plays, and Aaron Rodgers, who has to execute them. So if you're not running the ball, that means you have to be effective in the passing game, and this team is not. This passing game is just a mess. 7 weeks into the season, and Rodgers and the receivers are still not on the same page on too many plays. On top of that, holding penalties and dropped passes are just killing drives. Uh, this is just way too many drop passes for NFL receivers. You can't play at this level and be dropping this many passes. It's just unacceptable. But a few of those balls were low throws or balls thrown behind the receiver. These are barely catchable balls that the type that we don't usually expect Aaron Rodgers to throw. And also there are still too many balls that he's throwing that aren't even close enough to the receivers for them to be allowed to make a play. A couple plays again on Sunday where he's throwing a ball that the receivers can't even get to it before it hits the turf. Summary of the offense on Sunday. They had 9 drives. 3 were cut short on penalties they couldn't overcome. Another 3 ended on 3rd or 4th down on drop passes. 2 ended in touchdowns. One of those drives was helped out a lot by Commanders' penalties, and 1 was the end of the game. So 6 drives are just ended by mistakes. Packers were 0 for 6 on 3rd down. Also a terrible sign. Couple plays that I do call into question, judging what they're doing. On the drive that ended on a drop pass on 4th down, it was actually a turnover on downs in the 4th quarter, 4th and 1. It was a little screen pass to Romeo Doubs. And even if he catches the ball, I don't think he's going to make it, because as soon as that pass hit his hands, he got drilled by the defensive back, and that knocked the ball loose. Not a fan of that play call. First off, they're sitting back in shotgun. I don't like going shotgun on 3rd or 4th and 1 or short yardage. Your running plays are slower developing, and the defense gets a better look at what the quarterback is doing. And it eliminates the quarterback sneak option. Plus, I think the Packers are predictable on this. 3rd and 4th and 1, shotgun. Probably one of the main options is that little screen pass to the wide receiver. It looked like the Packers pretty much tipped off the play, and the Commanders were ready for it. One other question. Final play of the game, the Packers chose to run the lateral play instead of a Hail Mary. It was plenty exciting, but you had the ball on your own 46. That's it's 54 yards from the line of scrimmage to the end zone. Every year previous to this, Aaron Rodgers has no problem getting the ball that far. And I'm really wondering if his hand is bothering him more, because his deep passes don't look good, and they decided to not have him throw the ball. And so I'm wondering if he's healthy enough to get the ball to the end zone. Bright spots on the offense. There weren't many, but Zach Tom, rookie, first start at left tackle, did a really solid job. Way to go, Zach. And Aaron Jones led the team in receptions. Unfortunately, not enough rushes, but Aaron Jones, great job catching the ball and making plays. Only thing of note for the special teams is the muffed punt by Amari Rodgers that led to a Commanders field goal. Other than that, coverage was pretty good. No block kicks this week, thankfully. Just the muffed punt that unfortunately led to 3 points. Defensively, this is a tough game. If the offense is even competent, this was probably a good enough effort to win. You only gave up 20 points. I did like that Joe Barry continued to be aggressive. While Quay Walker is still having his issues against the run, I like that Barry is using him more as a pass rusher and blitzing. Speaking of blitzing, I did see Adrian Amos coming a couple times also on blitzes. Love to see that. The offense and the special teams, the muff punt, did put those Packers defense in a few bad positions. But you were playing the Commanders, who were starting their backup quarterback, and this defense couldn't stop them when it counted the most. Uh, the run defense is just awful. The Packers' front seven has been brutal for the most part. They're getting pushed around. They're not keeping contained. You name it. The pass defense still had some issues with zone and guys running wide open across the field. Still communication issues. Speaking of zone or man-to-man coverage, if Jair Alexander or another defensive back gets beat one-on-one, or the quarterback makes a great throw, or the receiver makes a great catch, I can live with that. It's the zone issues that they keep having problems with that are unacceptable. And speaking of receivers making great catches, yes, I am talking about Terry McLaurin, who made a couple big plays on Sunday. And if you remember, the Packers could have drafted him and instead chose to pick Jace Sternberger, tight end, instead. Jace is no longer with the team. But they did pick Jace one pick in front of McLaurin. That's another third round pick. Another opportunity that they had to stock or restock or keep the wide receiver room stocked that they didn't take advantage of. But that's another video, and can go into that I can go into that for a while. What were the missed opportunities and key mistakes on defense? On the drive following the pick six by Devondre Campbell, the Packers had another interception opportunity dropped by Rasul Douglas. That drive featured some really poor run defense and some really awful tackling, and ended in a touchdown. Rasul actually had his hands on a couple balls this game that possibly could have been interceptions. In the second half, the Packers couldn't stop the run and allowed a 16-play, 9-minute drive for a field goal. During that drive included giving up a first down on a 3rd and 11 play. Later in the half, Packers had a sack, led to a 3rd and 8, and the secondary had a coverage breakdown, allows a catch with a huge run, crossing route. After that play, to make things worse, Eric Stokes loses his cool and gets a dumb penalty, 15 yards. That drive ended inside the Packers' 10-yard line, and it was a field goal. Now, I don't want to sit here and knock on the defense. I am going to point out some of the bright spots on the defense. Some of the guys that had good games. Devondre Campbell, looking more and more like the All-Pro he was last season. 12 tackles and a pick six, which was a fantastic play. Rasul Douglas, looking like he did last year, playing on the outside for the most part. Good in coverage, and is getting his hands, as I mentioned, he's gotten his hands on a few passes. He's going to get some picks. Also, been a little bit tough on him so far this season, but Quay Walker, 13 tackles to lead the team, including 2 quarterback hits. He is a problem when he rushes. is blitzing or rushing the quarterback. Hope the Packers continue to use him in that way. But overall, this team, this wasn't the complete disaster that, compared to last week, but it's nowhere near good enough. Commanders are not a great team, and this effort wasn't good enough to beat them. Now, can they do enough to get back into playoff contention? I hope so. I'm going to address their playoff chances in the next couple days. It's a little alarming, I'll be honest. Keep your eyes open for that video. Until then, have a great week, be safe, and go Pack Go.